Why, hello there. Jacob here. And today, let's go ahead and preview the Minnesota Vikings Week 11 matchup against the Tennessee Titans. But first, I actually have a little bit of a pickup to share with you. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, this will be a two-part video. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive right into it. So yeah, like I said before, most of this video will be talking about the Tennessee Titans preview against the Minnesota Vikings, and well, hopefully the Vikings can wash the taste out of their mouths from whatever the heck that Jaguars game was. But as I've stated before, and I'll keep stating, I'll take those ugly, sloppy wins as long as they are ugly, sloppy wins. And then I'll let the coaching staff and all that, take over. But still, that game shouldn't have even been that close at all. But again, moving on to Tennessee, a team that on paper should be a little bit better than the Jaguars, but who knows at this point. I just hope we can continue going 1-0. So yeah, but before we get too much further into the preview, as I mentioned earlier, I actually have a pickup to share with you. And no, this is a non-Minnesota Vikings pickup. However, this thing is, this thing is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, I got this bad boy off of eBay. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So yeah, this particular bad boy is an NFL jersey from the AFC East. And, well, for the first time in a very, very, very long time, I was actually able to pick up a jersey of this team. And in fact, long story, a little bit longer, my first ever authentic NFL jersey that I picked up literally 11 years ago now, or going on 11 years ago now, I should say, was of this team. But I figure I should probably pick up a more updated version, even if this player isn't, updated. Hint, 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 hint. That's usually how I get a lot of discounts and deals on my stuff, but this thing is a beaut. So, without further ado, 3, 2, 1. Boom. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. It is a Miami Dolphins Nike game jersey of their teal alternate. And this particular bad boy is Jay Ajayi. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and kind of dive right into it. So yeah, this particular bad boy is a Miami Dolphins teal alternate of Jay Ajayi. So yeah, I found this on eBay for about, it was like $80 shipped, brand new with tags and stuff like that. But I did decide to wear it a little bit yesterday, and I love the fit of it. I love the color scheme, and this bad boy is a size 3XL. But yeah, it's just your typical Nike game jersey. So it has the screen printed or the heat applied stripes with the 23 on the back, screen printed. Ajayi, heat press, screen printed on a sewn nameplate. And yeah. So yeah, that's the first part of this video. The Miami Dolphins jersey of Jay Ajayi in the teal/aqua green alternate. So yeah, now on to the main event. The Vikings versus the Titans. And I am not going to lie to you. I really don't know a ton about how the Titans are looking this year outside of the Will Levis memes, which are mwah. and some slightly interesting mayonnaise commercials, but again, that's a that's a different video for a different day there. All I do know is the Titans are looking rough this year. And I don't really even know much about their coach, but whew, to say it hasn't been easy, it hasn't been good, it hasn't been fun, that sounds like it's an understatement. I mean, they just... And again, even going all the way back to week 1 against the Chicago Bears, when they had the victory, but Will Levis threw one of the most boneheaded interceptions I've ever seen, which then kind of started the downward spiral. So, which team will show up here? Because that's probably the biggest preview here, is which Vikings team will show up. Are we going to get the Vikings team that played against Jacksonville? You know, throwing all those boneheaded goal line red zone interceptions, and Sam Darnold has to slug out a game that we should be blowing him out by at least another 10 points? Or are we going to get weeks 1 through 5 Sam Darnold and the offense? Or are we going to get kind of a combo of both? Because, well, again, let's be honest here, last couple weeks have been very shaky. So, yeah. And again, I hope that Kevin O'Connell has actually talked with Darnold. You know, they've had a little bit of communication and stuff like that, because the biggest problem with Sam Darnold over these last couple weeks is his inability to really look outside of anyone other than Justin Jefferson. And now the formula is out there. It's like the Ed Donatel style of defense is what really plagues Sam Darnold. And what do I mean by that? The shell coverage, i.e., force him to dip and dunk and beat you. Because a lot of quarterbacks either just don't have the patience, or they're like, I need to make something happen now, even though they have like 3 or 4 people rushing them. I don't know. It's interesting because when Darnold was blitzed, for the most part, he was actually a really good quarterback. So, which makes sense why then you'd want to go for more of a shell coverage against him, especially if he keeps throwing interceptions. Because he's doubled his INT total over the last 2.5 games than he did the first 5 weeks combined. So now he's like top 3, top 4 in interceptions. Top 3 or top 4 of the Vikings are in turnovers because of those interceptions. And it's just not looking good. So what do we need here to win this game? Again, play within the offense. Play within the offense. Because again, they have guys like Jeffrey Simmons, who's no joke. L'Jarius Sneed went over there. I mean, he's a pretty good corner. Outside of that, I mean, they can be had. You know, there's a lot of young talent that's probably very frustrated, this and that and the other thing. So, we can take advantage here if we play the cards correctly. And then quickly flipping it over to the other side of things, how will our defense go up against guys like Tony Pollard, Calvin Ridley, and Chig Okonkwo, who's actually a very underrated tight end? Yeah, sure, I mean, their offense isn't what I would say, lighting the world on fire, and, well, Will Levis being... that quarterback situation is weird, because Will Levis has been hurt these last couple weeks, and Mason Rudolph has actually showed up and looked pretty decent. I mean, can't be much worse than what they had with Levis the first several weeks of the year, but here we are. You know what I mean? So it's just... But again, you can never take anything lightly, because for about a quarter and a half, we made Mac Jones look like frickin' John Elway. And the same issues that have kept plaguing us, And for whatever reason, Brian Flores, for like the first 2.5 drives of the game, refused to bring the boom on Mac Jones. And I have a feeling that if you bring the boom right away against the Titans, you could rattle them and potentially have this game done by halftime or into the second quarter. Because on paper, we should blow these guys out like dynamite. Like, this should be a no-doubter type of game. But in the NFL, there is no such thing as a no-doubter anymore. It's like, good God. I mean, just case in point, look at last Sunday night's game between Houston and the Lions. 5 interceptions Jared Goff threw. The Texans were up by, it was like 16 points at halftime. And the Lions come back to beat them on a Jake Bates 50-something, I think it was a 52 if I remember it, 52-yard field goal that kissed the uprights to win. Yeah, last week was on something. I can't even argue. Last week in the NFL was on something. I mean, it made for some really great football, don't get me wrong, but woofed. But, yeah, I mean, like I say, I think that pretty much sums everything up here that I wanted to say here, because, again, the Titans, a lot like the Jaguars, are looking more towards April at this point than they are an actual title. They're just slightly better than the Jaguars, which, again, brings me to my first point. Which Vikings team shows up? Which Sam Darnold shows up? Weeks 1 through 5 Darnold or Jacksonville Jaguars Darnold? Weeks 1 through 5 Darnold or the Darnold that's seeing ghosts? It's like, I don't know, man. All I do know is, again, this should be a win for us. And looking ahead here a little bit, post this game, we have to travel to Soldier Field, which, yeah, I mean, all the stuff that's transpired with the Chicago Bears and them literally, oh boy, you are talking about falling off of a cliff. Right, I mean, to be fair, it's not like the offense was necessarily lighting the world on fire, but again, I could have seen this coming. Yeah, if anyone who knows anything about the Chicago Bears could have told you that this was probably going to happen. Because it's a cycle that always repeats. But again, I'll kind of break down that more next week on the preview for the Bears. But again, summing everything up here. Darnold, take the easy throws, completions, and plays. 4 or 5 yards up and down the field. That wasn't an issue. Once you get into the red zone, remember, you've got 3 points there. It's not the end of the world to kick field goals. But what does derail you eventually is throwing those interceptions. Because, yeah, sure, you want to get touchdowns at the end of the day. I mean, that's the name of the game. But 3 points are still 3 points versus nothing when you throw an interception or turn the ball over. Defense. While they may not have a ton of weapons, they still got more than enough stuff there to beat you. With Calvin Ridley, with Chig, with Pollard. I mean, you just gotta basically be on your P's and Q's, and whoever it is, Rudolph or Levis, I think Levis is leaning towards being the starter, and if that's the case, we could have yum time there. Again, because it's very similar to Mac Jones. If you get a lot of pressure on him, he kind of crumbles, especially when he doesn't have any help around him. So if we can feast, if we can go in there, and just please, for the love of everything holy, can we have a no-doubter game? Because, boy, I think that would definitely turn up the morale and just get everybody kind of settled down a little bit, because it is very shaky in the land of the Minnesota Vikings. And the fans. Myself included. Yeah. Not good. Not good. So, that'll pretty much wrap up this video. I mean, hey, like I say, we're now into week 11 of the season. The playoff picture's looking more and more clear. 7-2. I mean, things are going to start getting spicy here and very quickly. So, again, just Please, for the love of everything holy, can we have that no-doubter game? Can we get our momentum back? And can we have the Vikings fans, being like, okay, now I don't have to hit the panic button. So, whew. Should be a fun week of games ahead, and yeah, I'm definitely getting very excited here. So, college football is also winding down too, which is kind of nice. And yeah, no, I think that pretty much sums it up. So, until we meet again, this is Jacob. Have a good day.